Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
And welcome everybody. I am Ball Python Love. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're not and you're here already, thank you. Please smack that like button on the way in. As I said in last night's live stream, this is one of the most anticipating live streams that I was waiting to do. And thank you, Chris. If you want to introduce yourself, appreciate you coming up here and hanging out, man.
Yeah, man. My name is Christopher Giannini. I am from the North Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, tri-state area. And I have a lot of jobs, wear a lot of different hats, but my favorite thing that I get to do is I talk college football, pro football for my podcast that I've been doing with my partner, Gary Seegers, for probably going on 6 years now. We are called Winning Cures Everything. You can find us pretty much on any podcast network. We're on YouTube, all the different places that are out there in the world. And man, I just kind of I'll talk to anybody about anything. When I first started, it was very sports centric because that's what I have an obscene amount of useless knowledge of. And then just over the time, I've got comfortable enough behind the microphone that I said, man, anybody who wants to talk to me, you just call me up and I'll be there.
That is awesome, man. That really is. Welcome, Blue Eyes in the Sky. Thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate it. And like I said, before we first started, dude, I never script anything. Every guest that's been on here knows that. So I would like to talk a little bit about the group of five. We all know this. Like, group of five does not get the respect that it gets. And this is what bothers me. If Oklahoma would have never lost, they would be still in the top four, right?
That's right. Oh, well, Oklahoma wasn't in the top four, but yeah, they would, if they continued to win, they would eventually get there. And yes, they were in the top 10 and they would have never fell out of the top 10.
No, it's because it's not a group of five, it's a power five. So like for Nevada, we could go undefeated. We'll never see the national championship. And I kind of feel really bad for Cincinnati right now.
That's right. That's right. So Cincinnati at least has the track record, right? So like UTSA is a perfect example. UTSA is undefeated as of this point, UT San Antonio, and they have no path, not just to a playoff. It's not just about getting to the playoff. What college football has done is they've destroyed the regular season by just pushing this playoff on everybody. And if you can't make the playoff, then everything you do is useless. That's just not true. You can still have an unbelievable, amazing season. It's not all about only one team gets to win it every year. The 130 teams.
Yep.
In our concept with just infatuation with just the champion and no one else is just worthless. I don't live in that world, and I'm not a fan of that. UTSA, they won't have the resume to do anything special. Hell, they didn't even have them ranked until last week in the top 25. But so much of this is biases. It is self-fulfilling prophecies. It is the definition of gaslighting. If you say it enough and then everybody begins to believe it, then everybody buys into the propaganda that's being put out there. I try not to use words like P5 and G5. The issue I've got is that's the most universal way for people to communicate about college football, to break these conferences up, into two segments. There's 5 of these and there's 5 of these. We've got 10 major conferences. And so we just split it down the middle. When 2 of the conferences that are in the G5, the little schools, are substantially better from top to bottom than at least 2 and probably a good argument of 3 of the Power 5. Mountain West and the American are absolutely nuts and bolts equal to or on the same playing field as the ACC right now, the Big 12 right now, and the Pac-12. And I don't think it's debatable. But because those other schools are real big, they have massive endowments, they're really famous, they've been playing football for 100 years, they have a big fan bases, we look at them differently. And it's just not the way the game was meant to be played.
So Keys Constrictor says, if you're not talking Buckeyes football, you're not talking about nothing. I take that he said he was a Buckeyes fan when I had him on the show as a guest, and I don't like Ohio State. That's my personal. I just don't. I don't like to even have, like, Nevada's my team, right? But
That's right.
I don't have a team outside Nevada, is because I like William Hill too much. I like to bet.
There you
So
go.
I try to stay away from, like, I love Georgia. If I was going to choose a team, that'd be a team. I really thought when Georgia played Alabama in the national championship, it was over. But Tua came out, and then he got his we all know what happened.
But Georgia also collapsed. They stepped all over themselves in that game. This is a mark that Kirby has his entire career. This year looks to be different. We'll see if it's actually different. But up to this point, every time Kirby's been, had a big lead in a big time game, he's kind of pissed it away and fallen all over himself. But like I said, let's hope this year's a little bit different. I say let's hope. I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't like Georgia. I don't like Alabama. I don't like any of them. So,
yeah, I mean, I have to say this, though. I mean, and please tell me if you disagree, because I like disagreements. I really think, though, I'm not saying every team in the SEC is dominant, but that is pretty much the power of all conferences, is the SEC. Like, when it comes down to it, those are the boys you need to beat.
no, it is. The Big Ten's getting better. The Big Ten's really close. Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, those teams are really good. And they're not. This is not the ACC, okay? This is not Clemson was a juggernaut and everybody else was just an also-ran. They just did not matter, okay?
Yeah.
They were irrelevant to the sport. I know that Miami and Florida State and North Carolina are big brands, but they haven't been good for decades, okay? Like, it's been 10 years since any of those teams have been worth anything. So let's not look at brands. Let's not look at who you used to be. Let's look at who you are today. And Memphis has had a better 5-year run, 10-year run than any of those three schools that I just named. Little old Memphis, and they're not great, and they get no respect nationally at all.
I think, well, I mean, no, they don't. But I think it was like 2017 they were ranked last time I seen them in the top 20, I believe.
Yeah, Mike Norvell's year before he went to Florida State, 2000 might have been 19.
Okay.
They were really good, but it was 17, 18, and 19. They were at the top of the American, and they could have hung with any team in the ACC, not named Clemson. They could have hung with almost every team in the Big 12 at that time, and they could have hung with every team in the Pac-12. And they were the third best team in their conference. UCF was better than them, and Cincinnati was better than them. SMU was up there with them. Houston was up there with them. These are schools that are, and these are in big cities. These are not like, this is not the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, okay? These are big. You're talking about Houston. It's one of the biggest cities in the country. And they've got big boy football. So, I pull for the little guy a lot more than most people, so.
Yeah. See, so talking about little people, so my biggest thing, Kuiper's board. I mean, he does who he thinks is going to be the top. Do you really think, I just want your opinion, do you think Spencer Rattler is better than Carson Strong? Because I made this argument on your guys' show a little bit. You think Spencer Rattler's better?
I do think he's better. I think Spencer Rattler's the second best player in college football right now. I really do. I think Matt Corral's the first. I really do. Okay. I think Rattler's that good. I think he's special. And here's the thing. We don't just have 1 year of a track record to see this, okay? He's been at this level of performance against top-tier competition, really good competition for 2 years straight. That's hard to do. That's really, really hard to do. Oh, hang on. Whoa. No. I'm getting my Spencers and Desmonds I disagree completely. You're talking about Spencer
Okay.
Rattler
Yes,
from Oklahoma. I was thinking Desmond Ritter.
No,
All right.
yeah, no, Desmond's Ritter way better. I was saying,
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
Rattler.
no. Okay. Rattler. No. Okay. So Spencer Rattler. No. We're all right. Strike everything I just said. Throw it all in the garbage. Complete waste of information. I don't think Spencer Rattler's on anybody's big board. Mel Kiper does a television show.
Right, but he had him up there in the beginning, and I mean, also in the beginning when week 1 started, he had Carson Strong up there, and I was like, quit playing us like that, you know. I mean, we had Kaepernick come out here, but
I think Carson will be drafted. I do think Carson will be drafted. Here's the problem. Mel has been doing his television show for a long time. Okay, for a really long time. I that's what it is. I don't know that Mel has any insight whatsoever into what NFL GMs are actually thinking. Okay. I listen to a bunch of NFL guys, just like I listen to a bunch of college guys. This is something I obsess about. And I'm going to tell you that there's not a single NFL scout for all 32 teams that thinks Spencer Rattler right now today is an NFL quarterback.
Oh, he's not. He's not.
So if he came out in this year as a junior, which he can, he would not get drafted. He would go undrafted, and I don't know that anybody even signs him.
No, I don't. Just because, I mean, I don't even like the last two really too much. Just because I'm not trying to hate on Oklahoma. It's just good offense usually, shitty defense. I mean, but yes, you had Baker, you had dude from Arizona right now. You know who I'm talking about? Kyler Murray.
Yep.
I mean, like he's came after two really good quarterbacks, and of course,
and all three of those, his last three have all been transfers. He has not recruited and developed a quarterback ever. He's taken quarterbacks that were already pretty good and said, "Hey, come play at Oklahoma. I can make you better." But we haven't seen him take anybody from pretty good as a freshman, incoming 18-year-old, and develop them into his system. Rattler was supposed to be that guy. I guarantee Rattler will be transferred out after this year.
I think he's better off if he does. I mean, if he wants to continue his career, I don't think Oklahoma's – I mean, it's a good spotlight to get your name and all that, but, I mean, it's a battle back every damn game. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Big 12 – I mean, I was very, very stoked at halftime when we played Kansas State, but after halftime, we got our asses whooped. And you know what I'm saying? So, but like it's Baylor, I was glad Baylor did. I was like, about time, because Oklahoma this year had way too many close calls. They did not deserve to be in the top 10. That's my personal opinion.
No, well, and they had to rank them there because they were undefeated. And at some point in time, I guess your record says what you are, but they played nobody at that point. I mean, they didn't have a single good win on their entire schedule. They hadn't beaten anybody they were supposed to beat badly. They play every game tight, and as soon as they played the first good team, Baylor is a good team, but the Baylor's not a great team. And Baylor beat them up from the time the game started to the time the game ended. And at no point in time, outside of when it was 0-0, did Oklahoma have any chance to take a lead in the game.
Yeah.
That's getting dominated.
So, so here's one for you. I actually talked about this last night, and I was going to ask you, or if not last night, the night before, because like I say, I go live every night. So, but I honestly, someone brought up the Pac-12.
Okay.
And then I'm in the Mountain West, right, as my conference. I honestly believe, and this is just, and please, I understand there's Oregon, I get it, but I believe, are a better conference this year than the whole of Pac-12. I mean, Fresno State that beat us put up a damn good fight against Oregon.
Yeah, and they beat UCLA.
Yeah.
They beat UCLA. Yeah.
We opened our week 1 with Cal. Beat Cal. Like, I just don't see the Pac-12 being that great.
They're not. They're not. Y'all, that's one of the conferences that I believe the Mountain West is better than this year from top to bottom. So let's say your best right now, San Diego State probably. Let's say Oregon beats them. Okay. 1 beats 1. I would give that to Oregon. Hard not to. 2, I wouldn't even know who the second best team is. Is it Oregon State? And, you know,
Wash State, yeah, somebody.
and look, I'm not. That's not a joke. I like Oregon State. I think Oregon State's a hell of a program. From what they were the little engine that could. They were the laughing stock of college football. They were the Kansas and the Vanderbilt and the Rutgers, and they've pulled themselves out from the depths, man. So, but it's still going to be a dogfight. If you take the next 7 teams straight down, you're not looking at more than a 2 or 3 point spread, no matter who's playing who. And I'd take the Mountain West team over the Pac-12 team, however you shuffle those next 7 or 8 teams on each side. So it's really hard to say that the Pac-12 should get this benefit of having this P next to their name, because all of those schools have massive endowments and they've been playing football for 100 years and they're all famous and they get Hollywood. Like that, at some point in time, football's supposed to not be about all that. It's about men colliding with one another in the dirt, pushing somebody around against their will, tackling, hitting, precision routes, speed, power, all of these things. And none of it should have anything to do with the amount of money you got or who your granddad was.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to be great about sports, but we're putting all of those extra things into that.
Yeah. What's up, Justin? Thank you for joining. If you guys haven't already, smack that like button, share the shit out. I truly appreciate it. No thumbs down tonight. That is fucking awesome. Thank you. Don't care if they were there anyway. But so what's your opinion about, honestly, this is how I see it. And I know DG Reptiles is in the chat, and he's the Ohio State Buckeyes fan because he said I said it wrong the first time. So there you go. The Ohio State.
That's a great academic institution where they like to use the word "the" as an adjective all the time. Boy, this dumb bumpkin from Mississippi realizes that's kind of pathetic.
I don't see Oregon deserving a shot, nor do I see Ohio State deserving a shot.
I think it'll all play itself out. I do believe it all is going to play itself out. Now, there's a world where if Ohio State wins out, they're getting in, and I can't say they don't deserve it, because running the gauntlet of Michigan State, Penn State, Michigan. And Wisconsin or Iowa, I can't say that they don't deserve it. That's one of the conferences that I do believe, if you're a one-loss winner of that conference, I think you got to get in.
But
would you tell me 3 other teams don't belong inside of you?
So if both teams go 11-1, who do you have though? If you have to choose one to make it,
the
other one can't.
Okay, so if we've got 1, 2, and 3 locked up, and we're picking number 4, and it has to be one of those 2, there's a reason you play football on the field. One guy beat the other guy on a Saturday where we lined it all up, and guess what? The team that won went to Ohio State. They should get they got to get the nod. If that game was played at Oregon, you could have an argument that said they played a close game on the road. But at some point in time, the games that we already saw play have to matter. And if we're not going to make them matter, then why the hell are we doing this?
Honestly, Ohio State deserves it. So does Oregon. I honestly, like you said, I mean, that's going to be a hard one, though. My personal opinion, you got to play Michigan State at home, and then you also got to go to Ann Arbor.
Got to go to Michigan, and then they're probably going to have to play Wisconsin. There's a world where Iowa still wins the West, but I think it's going to be Wisconsin. All 3 of those games are really tough. They're tough. That's why I say if Ohio State wins, it won't be an argument between Oregon and Ohio State. If they're both 1-loss, they'll bump Cincinnati out. They'll kick them out of the kitchen. Or there's a chance that if Georgia beats Alabama, then Alabama will have 2 losses, and everybody say, "Look, this ain't your year. Get to the back of the bus, buddy," and we move on from there.
I don't think Alabama looks that good either, though. I mean,
well, no, they don't. So while the SEC looks really good overall as a conference, outside of Georgia, nobody's elite. Nobody. This is why I think the SEC and the Big Ten are about identical. I really do. I think Ole Miss and Arkansas and Mississippi State are better than they've been in 10 years. But are they elite? Are they, how would I match them up against Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin? Man, I kind of think all those games are pushes. I mean, one team might be favored a little bit here or there, but we're not talking about a big margin. We're just not.
I don't know, man. And like when it comes down to it, Alabama's everyone's saying it's gonna. Well, they're saying in the chat it's gonna be Alabama versus Georgia.
Well, like I said, once that'll be for the SEC title. But if Georgia smokes Bama, which a lot of people kind of think they're going to do, you can't let Bama in with 2 losses.
Nope.
And after they got their butts beat by Georgia, you got to let somebody else in. You just have to. So I got a question for you. All right. You're the reptile guy. Okay. I'm a little scared of these things. You didn't bring them out tonight. I appreciate that. I thought we might have a conversation about fears and phobias and those things. That's okay. I'm comfortable doing that too. In college sports, pro sports, all the way across the world, reptiles kind of get a bad rap. Like almost every animal in the world, I guess not fish usually, but like they're all represented in the mascot world. But reptiles kind of get crapped on. You got the gators, but are there many other reptile mascots out there?
No.
I mean, UAB is called the Blazers, but they got a dragon for a mascot, but I don't know that counts because it's kind of a mythical dragon, not the real dragon.
I might lose you just for a split second. I'm letting my sister in my place.
You're good,
I live
brother.
On the top floor. And then,
you're good, man. I am here. I can ramble as long as you want me to ramble.
But, I mean, I honestly, go ahead. I mean, honestly, I would like your opinion about Cincinnati on where they lie.
So where they lie, I don't like, but I live in a different world than the people that run college football. I'm just going to be honest and I'm going to be forward here. And this is the truth. And if anybody doesn't believe me, you can call me a conspiracy theorist. You can call me whatever you want. That's fine. I followed this stuff. I know a lot of the people that run this thing, college sports, basketball, football, especially the 2 sports where the most money is involved. It's the most corrupt organization in America today. Think about politics. Yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to how deeply seated the corruption in college sports is, how still backwards it is. And it is all about power, influence, and money. And Cincinnati, the little guy will never get let in. They just won't. They will go fighting tooth and nail. They will make every excuse under the sun to never, ever, ever let them in. That's the truth. That the people that run the sport are terrible people. And they're not just bad at their jobs, that they don't care about the product. They only care about the end result. So many years, the reason Clemson kept getting let in to the playoff was because Clemson had all these quote unquote top 25 wins in college football. But then we had all these middling ACC teams that were on Clemson's schedule that weren't any good. They all had 3 or 4 losses, but they were still getting ranked in the top 25. Well, you say Cincinnati didn't have enough top 25 wins, but you make the top 25 list. Why do you not have SMU ranked? Why did you not have Houston ranked until last week? These are teams that are on their schedule. Like they went into Notre Dame and they beat Notre Dame by double digits. They never trailed in that game. At what point in time are we going to stop saying, but they're going to make the arguments. This is why I said it's the definition of gaslighting. They say these other teams are top 25 teams. And then the SEC, a great example of that, by the way. Alabama's got wins over Mississippi State and Ole Miss. And those 2 teams were ranked pretty high a couple of weeks ago when the first college football ranking came out. And everybody in the SEC was like, they got 3 losses. Mississippi State did, especially. They're like, what? And what happens to Memphis? Like, not even good losses. What are we talking about? How are they ranked? Oh, Bama beat them. Oh, so now we have to rank them so we can say Alabama had another ranked win. This is the problem of the sport, is the people that run the sport have already made up their mind what they want to happen. And they do not care at all who they hurt along the way, as long as the big boys get fed and the little guys just stay quiet. You can yell and scream all you want, but there's nothing you can actually do to hurt them.
I heard every single part of that. I was in the elevator listening to it. I was like telling my sister, I was like, hold on. She's like, I need a rat. I was like, here, hold on. I breed my own rats for my snakes. That's why.
But that's my problem with Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati, and I think they've done everything they should to deserve to be there. The powers that be will never allow it to happen. They just won't.
So for what you said though, like why isn't there reptile like there's the
Mascots.
gators? Yes.
You got the Gators. Can we think of anybody else?
Honestly, no, because honestly, the way I look at it is a lot of people just naturally just are misinformed about reptiles. So
Yeah.
like me and my wife have been together for 11 years, married for 5 or 6 now, something like that. And it took her 9.5 years to finally for me to break that curve around her to be like, it's okay. And I just think it's a lack of knowledge.
Maybe.
What? Oh yeah. Sorry, my sister forgot something. Here, man.
I mean, I grew up in the country in Mississippi. My brother's not afraid of snakes at all. Like he's got no problems with them. He knows the difference between venomous ones and non, and even the venomous ones he's not afraid of. Like he knows how to handle himself in those situations. It's not an ignorance thing or an uneducated thing. It's just a phobia thing. Some people are afraid of heights. Some people are afraid of clowns. Like I just have this. And I refer to it accurately. It's an irrational fear. It's not something a reasonable person can reason with. I don't know why, and I don't know what happened when I was younger, but I've always been totally phobic of snakes. And it's not been something that I've tried my life to avoid for the most part. Like we go to the zoo here in Memphis. The Memphis Zoo is awesome. It's one of the best zoos in the country. It's about the only thing that Memphis does well outside of barbecue. And my kids are like 7 years old and they've never been in the reptile house because I don't go in the reptile house. Like I just don't walk in there. And it's because I have an irrational fear, and I know that.
And so everyone knows I did promise, and out of respect, I'm not going to be showing any of the pythons tonight. So don't worry.
And I'll tell you this: you can show anything you want, and I can handle. I'm a big boy. I'm all right. I'll be okay if you want it. You can do anything you want. It's your show, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Well, that's just it. You're my guest, dude, and I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but I can show you a really, really pretty one.
I'm sure they're beautiful. I'm sure they are.
I got my bell, which is Super Mojave, which is the bell is pretty much a pure white snake.
Okay. Do they have red eyes?
They do have a white one that's all red eyes. That'll be head albino or either albino with the bell complex in it.
The coloring is on some of these snakes are beautiful. They really are. I mean, they're amazing creatures.
Yeah.
I just assume that they want to eat me.
I mean, maybe the gators and all that, but
there's no doubt the gators want to eat you. No, they absolutely want to eat you. They're just dumb. Crocodiles are smart. Crocodiles are really smart and they're really aggressive. We don't have crocodiles down here in the South. We have gators. I've tried to explain to people, if we had if all the gators were magically turned to crocodiles, there would be no more humans down here in the South. They just wouldn't.
Damn. So you guys have like big ass gators, like just roaming around, like
not in my like North Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, no, but in like the swamps of Mississippi, oh yeah, the Delta,
okay.
Oh hell yeah, oh yeah. No, you got to remember we border Louisiana and Alabama. We're in the bayou down in the Delta. It's no different, man.
Okay.
No. The only snakes we get around here, really, we get king snakes, which are great. I love them. They keep the rats away, and my dog doesn't bother them. We do get a lot of water moccasins, which that terrifies me because those are pretty aggressive. And then we get like rat snakes and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think we get anything too crazy in the wild out here outside of like I said, the water moccasin is about the only thing you got to worry about around here.
Okay.
To my knowledge, now I've never ran up anything else. Those are about the only three. There's three that I've came across. Oh no, we get copperheads. We do get copperheads a lot, just not where I live. Yeah,
I like the coppers. Here we just got rattlesnakes.
I was going to say out west.
Reno, we only got the Great Basin. As you go to like Vegas, UNLV, and all that shit, that's where you got the other 4 species. They got like the Sidewinder, they got the speckled, the Western, and the Mojave. So,
Are any of those snakes super aggressive, like
oh
cottonmouths,
fuck it,
like water moccasins?
rattlesnakes. Oh hell yeah.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
I've never been around one. I don't know.
I've seen some people like free handle them because they spent so much time with it, but I'm like, dude, that motherfucker. Ooh, if he bites, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Not maybe the bite itself, but the venom being injected.
Oh yeah, no,
so.
everything. Yeah, that's a bad day.
It's
It's gonna be a bad couple of days probably.
I do have a question though. What made you, I've always liked Nevada. I didn't get into college football until I moved up to Nevada and I was like 10. So Nevada just kind of became my team. What about you for LSU?
So I lived in Memphis my entire life. I'd never been to a game outside of Liberty Bowl. So I've been to a couple of Liberty Bowls and like exhibition games and then a bunch of Memphis games growing up. My 10th grade year of high school, my best friend moved to Olive Branch. His family, where I live, his family were big LSU fans. And they asked, could they take me to a game? My family said, cool. My first time ever to go to a game outside of Memphis, outside of Liberty Bowl, which is not like an impressive place to be. It's not a great stadium or anything. And I went to Death Valley, and I will tell you, it blew me away. It was an LSU Florida game. Florida won. Florida kind of beat them up. And at no point in time was that place not absolutely insane. And I left there thinking, I'm never rooting against these people, no matter what. Everybody was super cool. Everybody was super friendly. And it was just, you get engulfed in it. And I tell people all the time, that's just the cult that that's the first cult door I walked into, and I was in it. Okay. I can't tell you that if I would have went to Starkville or to Oxford or to, Gainesville, or God forbid, Tuscaloosa, like that, I wouldn't have been engulfed into those people's cult, because it's if you have no information at all and you just have never experienced anything like it, and you're just a very casual fan, and you walk in and you experience it, and you do it with an open mind that you're going to go to have a good time and whatever, it's impossible for it to not be infectious. It really is. It's one of the things I love about college football.
It's a great atmosphere. I mean, I've gone to the Reno ones, Wolfpack, but other than that, I've never been to another like actual college stadium.
You should try. You should go. I mean, they're hard because it's expensive, and traveling right now is insane, and everything is expensive. But if you can ever find your way to some of these places, I've got a list. I've got a laundry list of places I want to go. I grew up. I'm not really a practicing Catholic, but I grew up in a Catholic household. My grandfather was Catholic, and he loved Notre Dame. Like I want to go to Notre Dame just to kind of from a pawpaw. I want to. My favorite place that I want to go that I've never been to is Wisconsin. I want to go to a night game in Wisconsin. I want to be among jump around. I want to party in that atmosphere. I want to try to do that before I get too old. So I want to appreciate it. I want to go to Knoxville at UT up on the Smoky Mountains, 100,000 people, just like that would be just like the big house. Things of that nature. Going to these games in these amazing places, these places that are just complete and utter palaces of 80-something thousand, 100,000 screaming fans, all going for one thing. It's a pretty unbelievable thing. And I try to encourage people, if you don't have a dog in the fight, go when you're going to want to pull for the home team. Like I've never went to, I would, if LSU was playing Tennessee in Knoxville, I don't want to go to that game. I don't want my first time to be in Tennessee to be rooting against them. I want to be with the 100,000. I want to go with the crowd. I want to be swept away in all the nostalgia and all of the tradition and all of the everything. And if I'm there as opposition, you're just not going to get the full brunt of what it means to be there.
As for me, I caught a few games this year. The one game I almost debated to go to, and it would have been my first one, was Fresno State. But I was like, that would probably be bad. I'm going to run my mouth about Nevada, and probably not make it home. But
No, you'd been fine. You'd been fine. Listen, I've been around enough people who are in college football. It's okay to talk a little smack. You got to know where lines are drawn. You got to be a little, know your atmosphere, know where you're at, know who's with you and who's against you, and just kind of if it's all in good fun, I think you're okay. Now there are some places where you got to be careful. Like I've been to a Mississippi State LSU games before, and two guys I came with were Mississippi State alums, and the first thing we did, they were wearing just like they were wearing like a blue polo. Okay, it's like we're rooting for nobody. And I was like, that's not going to work. And we went to the bookstore and I bought them both LSU t-shirts. I was like, throw these on because I'm too old to be getting my ass kicked with you guys. All right. like, y'all are going to say something stupid to the wrong guy and then we're going to get whooped. And I'm not doing that. Like, this is what I did. And it's okay. But I think that's how you find like an appreciation. And what was weird was they were wearing the LSU shirt and they were sitting there. And whenever Mississippi State was getting killed in this game. Okay, this was a complete blowout. This was a situation where like when State would do something good, they kind of looked at each other. They were like, yeah, and they kind of gave a little knuckle pump or whatever. And other folks around them kind of saw, and they were all like, it's cool that you're here with your friend and like you wore the LSU shirt to like not bring it to like. I wouldn't wear a Mississippi State shirt if my friend would have drugged me to Starkville. Like I would have worn my LSU gear and I'd have been a punk about it. And the fans around kind of appreciated the little nod of respect. And so I thought, okay, all right, that made me feel pretty good that we made a good decision and we all made it home okay that night.
Yeah. If I could choose a few games, I mean, one of them, of course, would be the whiteout. That would be a fun one to experience at Penn State.
I would like to. I've got friends that have gone to that before. And I'm married into a family in Cleveland, Ohio, and I've got several friends that have distant relatives that are Penn State guys, and they've been to a couple of whiteouts. Pretty unbelievable atmosphere, I bet.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty fun. So we talked college. How much time do I got with you? Because I know you said not too long, and I'm not trying to.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'll give you another 20 minutes if you want it. I don't care.
Okay. Who's your NFL team? I don't think I've heard that from you.
So I grew up. This is weird. So right over the shoulder, a little Brownies logo. Let's go half cut off there. I married into the Cleveland thing, and I embraced that. I haven't been married for 20 years, but I kind of started going up there about 25 years ago, and really fell in love with the city of Cleveland. Really fell in love with the Indians and the Browns. My pro team comes in. I feel better about saying this now because I don't feel like such a homer since they've been bad the last couple of years. But it all started. See the Red Sox gear behind me. At 4 years old, the first love of my life were the Boston Red Sox at the age of 4. And due to that, I grew up and I met this man named Larry Bird, and he got me into being the Celtics. And I realized, oh, the Red Sox and the Celtics are in the same town. And well, what's their football team? Oh, that's the New England Patriots. And so the team of my youth, of my childhood, these are the only teams that I actually had as a child. Because like I said, I didn't even get really into college football until 10th grade, were the Boston Red Sox, the Celtics, and the New England Patriots. And that's where my fandom lies, 1,700 miles to the northeast of me, a place that I never went to until I was, 35 years old, 36 years old. And, but I loved it from afar and I learned everything about it and I followed it religiously. So that would be my NFL team, would be the Patriots. I do love the Brownies and I support them. But the team of my youth will always be the Patriots.
Niner fan, man. And we suck this year. I mean,
no, you don't. No one's great in the NFL. No one's great. Everyone's still alive. Everyone's still alive.
Well, yeah. I mean, we beat the Rams on Monday. We could still. Yeah. But
2 great games with Jimmy G. 2 great games with Jimmy G. You're okay. You're still in this.
I don't like Trey Lance. I don't think he's.
Well, it's too early to make that decision.
I think he needs to wait a year or two behind Jimmy G, learn more, and then because I don't know, I just feel like he's more into I don't want another Tim Tebow. He likes to run. I don't. Kaepernick was cool. I like Cap, but because he came from Nevada, of course, and he went to my favorite team on the NFL, so I gotta love that guy.
Yeah.
But of course, afterward, but I think Trey Lance needs a little more development before he becomes.
He does. No, that's what I'm
starter.
saying. He absolutely is way too early to say you don't like him because we don't know enough about him, and that's okay. Right now, Jimmy G's playing great. I tell people live in the moment, live in the year you're in, unless you're the Lions. Then you look to next year. But everybody else, let's live right now. Okay, let's live right now. Let's look at what's in front of us because especially if you're a team that's not out of it right now. Half the damn NFL, 80% of the NFL is still in this thing. Okay. And if you think anybody has a better shot than someone else, you just haven't been paying attention, man. This thing is wide ass open.
How do you feel about Dallas? You like seeing them finally getting a decent year?
They've kind of grown on me. I spent my entire life. So in the 90s when they were dominant, I hated them. Okay. Like I couldn't stand them, but and then I spent the entire early 2000s making fun of them. Okay. So I got 20 years of them being the laughing stock of the NFL, while really my Browns were laughing stock of the NFL, but people pitied them. Nobody pitied the Cowboys. And so they were just the butt of every joke. They were the punchline and I loved every second of it. Now they're good. And I don't know that I love it because they're not as easy to make fun of. I definitely don't hate the Cowboys, but I guess I would say I'm agnostic to them. I don't want anything bad to happen. When they play teams that I like, I root against them, and I'm perfectly okay with that. When they play teams that I don't, I root for them, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Well, Dallas is, no offense to everyone in their division, but that's a pretty shitty division. Like the NFC West is way more no.
Their division's bad. Their division's really bad.
So, I don't know. Dak looks good. Zeke, he's been hit and miss.
I'm not a Zeke guy. Their backup running back is Tony Pollard from Memphis, and he's been better than Zeke when he's been given the ball. But his name's not Zeke, and he didn't come from Ohio State, and he wasn't taken number 2 overall, and so they won't get – and he hadn't been given the big contract, so he doesn't get the love and he doesn't get the carries. But when he touches the ball, he's explosive. They're fun to watch. They're really fun to watch.
No, So, question for you. Let's get – I keep seeing this when I'm in Winning Cures Everything on your guys' live stream, and I can't remember the guy that keeps saying it, but he keeps saying Romeo Dubs. Like, that's receiver, Nevada, and he's like, dude's really great. Like, he is. I give him that. Could I say what he said, that Romeo Dubs is the top receiver? I don't know if I could even give my boy that.
No, you're talking about coming out in this draft class?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I can see him being in the top, like maybe 15, but not.
I mean, out of all the wide receivers, he's probably going to fall. I mean, there's a world where he comes in. It always going to depend on how the combine goes out or whatever. I think there's a guy out of Arkansas that not a lot of people know because he plays at Arkansas, but his name is Burks. And he is a complete and utter monster. He catches everything if it's thrown within a 5-10 yard radius of him. He's coming down with it over every DB. He's tall, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. I mean, this is going to be an insult because I'm going to compare him to a guy. At this point in college, he's a lot better than DK Metcalf was. But he looks like DK. Okay, he's that big, he's that strong, and he's that fast, but he's actually polished. DK was just raw talent, but didn't really know how to run a route. He just ran out there and was better than everybody else, and could go up and get the ball. In the NFL, you got to figure some of those things out, and he's learning that. Sometimes you could just be a freak, and sometimes you actually have to know what you're doing. Burks he looks really polished. I think he's the best receiver in the draft, and I kind of don't think it's close. Chris Olave is a stud. He's a monster. There's 2 or 3 guys that are really good and are going to be special. My boy from LSU coming out early, Kenyon Butte, is going to be an absolute star. But, wide receiver is one of those positions where great guys come from any school, man. They don't just have to come from the big schools.
Oh yeah. I mean, as long as you know how to do your spot, your position, and run that shit great, there's as long as you have the talent and the drive in it, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like playing quarterback, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. It's the hardest position in all of sports.
Yeah. You get the most credit, but you also get the most hate.
Well, so we say that, and I say that kind of casually, hardest position in all of sports. But then I think about it. A couple of weeks ago, some dude named Mike White just came in for the Jets, the worst team in the league, one of the worst teams in the league. And he dropped like 40 on a pretty good football team. And maybe playing quarterback ain't as hard as we make it seem to be. I don't know.
That's actually my wife's. Her favorite football team is the Jets. So
yeah.
That is one team we can count out, though. Sorry if she's watching, but that is one team we can't count out. They're not making it.
They're not. They're out of it. That's right. Them, the Jaguars, the Lions. That's those are the teams that are gonna. They're already out of it. That's okay.
There's always next year.
That's right, man.
But so do you really believe that? Because you said this on the other show, on your show, and I've also, I kind of see it. You really believe that the 2019 Joe Barrow LSU Tigers were the most dominant football college team of all time?
Oh, yeah. And I don't think that's close, by the way. If you look at every measurable number and every measurable metric, they beat 5 top 10 teams. Think about this, 5 top 5 teams. So everybody who got ranked in the top 5 at some point in time or another throughout the season got beat by them. Every one of them, all of them. At no point in time were they close to losing a game. They didn't trail in a second half the entire season. Okay. At no point in time was a single fourth quarter within more than 2 scores. They were 2 scores in front of everybody the entire fourth quarter of every game, and they played the hardest gauntlet of teams in the history of the NFL. No team has ever ran a gauntlet like they had to run. No team had that many teams scheduled on the way that they had. To put up the numbers against that level of competition, both defensively and offensively, they didn't have a flaw on the team. That team will go down is the best team to ever play college football. That was 1 year. It was one magical season. But it's not really arguable because all the other teams that could have an argument, there are so many things that you could say, yeah, but what about this? Or yeah, but what about that? They had no yeah buts at any point in time.
Damn. Yeah, no, I do have to agree, though.
I'll remember that year for the rest of my life. I listen, there's about 6 memories I've got where I tell people all the time, listen, one day, like the dementia and the lifestyle or whatever is going to set in, and I'm going to lose these memories. And when I do, here's a couple $1,000, you hire a drifter and you have me killed because life's not worth living after that, okay? 2019, LSU, that season, that's one of those things that I'm always going to have. No matter what, I'm always going to have it.
During that national championship, did you have at least any worries by halftime that Clemson could pull it off?
No, not at all. No, at no point in time, I did not care who we played at all. I know everybody made a big stink about, we shouldn't have been ranked number 1. We should have been ranked 2. And somebody else, I think it was Clemson that time, should have played Oklahoma and not us or whatever. It didn't matter if we'd have played Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson. It didn't matter. Put together the 85 Bears, put them all. It didn't matter. They were beating anybody you put on a football field that year, and they beat them bad. They beat them all by double digits.
Yeah, they did.
They just ran away with it.
I honestly think the whole Trevor Lawrence, not knocking on him. He was great at Clemson and not so great with Jacksonville. Got a lot to learn still. But when it comes down to it, I think that first year was a fluke.
I don't know if it's a fluke. He's got the goods, and that team's really good. I think if they play anybody else that year other than the 2019 LSU Tigers, they win and they get another national championship. The problem is they ran into a buzzsaw just like everybody else. Everybody else ran into that same buzzsaw, and there's nothing you could do about it. You just got to take that L. They came out, they scored the opening touchdown after the first half, and it looked – everybody was like, whoa, are the wheels coming off? And at that point in time, they didn't score another point. They didn't get past the 50-yard line the rest of the game. Dave Aranda's defense, Dave Aranda, the head coach now for Baylor, defensive coordinator, Dave Aranda put together a defense that went in after halftime, made adjustments, and shut them down.
Yeah.
And then LSU's offense did what they did. Joe Burrow did what he does, which is puts points up in bunches. And there's nothing you could do.
The only thing that was like really negative about that national championship, to be honest, isn't really the game itself. It was, I believe, Odell Beckham after the game. I think that's where all the negativity, they're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know what? At the end of the day, LSU was better. But I mean, come on, Beckham.
Yeah, Odell took another situation where this is not about him, but he needed the spotlight to be on him. And that's what he did. And he tried to make something that had nothing to do with him about Odell.
Yeah. I don't like him going to the Rams either, man. Like,
he'll be fine.
It's not that. I know he'll work out like great probably over there, like no problem.
No, that's the thing is I don't think he will.
Even if he doesn't, he's one of those people that if I was running, like had the ability to coach the team, I don't think I would want Odell Beckham. It'd be like people might hate this, but it'd be like an Antonio Brown type deal. Like that whole negativity. Yeah.
There are very few players. There are very few teams, coaches, and quarterbacks that can handle a talent like Odell. They can handle a talent like Antonio. Those guys are so ornery and cantankerous and difficult to work with that you got to be a special kind of guy to be able to handle that. And you got to be good enough and comfortable enough to where you can put them in a corner and you tell them, this is how I'm the leader of this team, not you. I don't think Matt Stafford's got that. I don't think Sean McVay's got that. I'll tell you this. I think Robert Woods is a substantially better receiver overall right now than Odell Beckham is. I think this is a downgrade. Now, it's better than what they had, obviously, but it's a downgrade from Robert, and that's the difference. Is I wouldn't worry about it. I'd let him get in there. I'd let him get a couple of balls overthrown to him or not get the ball a couple of games and let him be a problem and watch it implode from the inside.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I don't like Odell Beckham. I mean, of course, everyone's going to be like, oh, the catch with New York and all that, like with the
name
Giants
another big catch he's ever made.
I can't even name one that Baker threw for him.
I can tell you 4 to 5 different times there were games where he was throwing a ball that were absolutely catchable, and he tried to go up and make a one-handed catch, and he missed all of them. Had he thrown 2 hands up and he caught the ball, it would have been fine. It wouldn't have made SportsCenter. It would have just been they were routine catches that he tried to make look difficult because that's what he's made his bones off of, is just big special catches like that. The guy that reminds me of the most is there's an old center fielder that used to play for the Cardinals a long time ago named Jim Edmonds. And Jim Edmonds used to do that all the time. Jim Edmonds would stand back and watch a ball in the center field and wait until it started falling before he took off running so he could make a diving catch. And he made all these SportsCenter highlights and everybody fawned all over him. And I just thought, how do you people not realize this guy is showboating, man? He's trying to make a routine fly ball look exciting. Now, if you're a Cardinals fan, that's okay. Like, I'm all about somebody trying to make the thing look exciting, but you don't get extra credit because you made it more difficult on yourself. And you also, shouldn't be praised for being this elite defender because you're making all these miraculous catches that they're not miraculous catches. Like, if you just jogged up there and caught the ball easily, every player in the league could do that. You're intentionally making it harder because you like the way it looks, and that's fine. But if it ever costs your team a game, if it ever costs your team outs or a bad situation, just know that everybody understands you care more about you looking good than you do about the team winning. Odell said it on the Brown sidelines. It's on television. You can find the clip where there's a guy walking by him, giving him a high five, saying, "Man, I'm ready to win this thing." And Odell says, "I don't care. I'm ready to catch some touchdowns." And they, well, that's Odell in a nutshell. He didn't get one guy was excited about winning, and Odell was pissed off that he wasn't getting the ball. Wins aren't good enough. Touchdowns are. I don't know what you do about that, man.
Yeah, when a player puts themselves above the team and to be like, yo, this is me now. This is going to be mine. Like, I'm on the team. Like, is he going to pull the same stuff that he did with the Browns?
Surely he will. Sure,
he will.
Because I don't think those things are. I don't think those things are acts. I think that's who he is. And I'm okay with you being yourself. Be yourself, man. Be as weird as you want to be. Be as cantankerous as you want to be. But you have to perform if you're going to do those things. Okay. T.O. was a pain in the ass, but T.O. was great. Okay. Randy Moss was a pain in the ass, but Randy Moss is the greatest receiver I ever saw in my life, not named Jerry Rice. All right. Like, this is just what it is. These guys, it's okay to be that guy like Odell, but you got to perform like those guys or it doesn't work.
Very true. So I'm not going to keep you too much longer.
Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah. 2 more questions, though, and then
Fire
we'll
away.
end it. So one isn't really a question. It's more, well, it's a question, but it's not towards like a interview question. What's up with the Thursday lives? Like, is it pre-recorded? Is it? Yeah.
So the Tuesday, Thursday show for Winning Cures Everything, we record on Tuesday afternoon, usually about 3:00. I'm at work still. And so I'm calling in, doing the phone calls. I think they go live on everything the following morning at 9 a.m. I'm not 100% certain on that. That's Tuesday and Thursday's records. So like we recorded today, it'll go live tomorrow. So like I've already done the show that we've done. So sometimes you'll see Gary kind of always go back and forth on, he'll say this happened Wednesday and I'll say it happened yesterday. And he's like, no, Wednesday. And I'm like, dude, it's pre-recorded, man. Like everybody knows, nobody cares. Let's not make this a who's on first weird situation. So,
yeah, okay. I mean,
but yeah, those are pre-recorded. The only live show we have is Sunday now, and that's just strictly due to scheduling.
And I'm there every Sunday morning, man.
Appreciate it.
Once again, it's a badass time. I love.
Well, I'll be off this Sunday. I'm taking my family on vacation, but next Sunday I'll be back.
Okay. Is he doing a solo thing then, or?
I'm sure he'll do something. I have no idea.
Okay. And for my last question, when they do expand the college playoffs, and let's just say what, 12 teams, right?
I think we're going to go to, I think we're getting 12.
So if we get 12 teams, would you consider out of the 12 spots, like a conference champion winner should make one of those spots? Like, so like San Diego.
There's no chance they'll do that. I think should happen, or what do you think will actually happen? Because there's zero chance that they'll give 5 spots to G5 schools.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. In reality, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's going to be the top 12 right now, and not one G5's in there besides Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But if they do, my personal thing is they should at least give some of these younger guys, or like you talked about, like smaller schools to play, but like same time, Nevada's been playing since like the 1800s. We were the Nevada State.
It's not a matter. It's a matter of not time, but it's time. It's fan base. It all
correct.
Follow the money. It all goes back to money. Alabama on TV will do a bigger number than any school in the country. Okay. Yeah. If Nevada played Alabama and Nevada played LSU, there's about a 9 million viewer difference in those two games.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what they bring to the table. And so the people that run the sport don't actually care about who's better. They just want to keep the brands that keep them paid boosted. They want to keep artificially inflating these brands because they make them a lot of money. That's why I say the sport is it is politics. It is those who are in the haves, they're always going to get a leg up. They just are. And if you watch the games, I know people are going to call me just a sore loser, whatever. If you watch the games, the officials are in on it. It is from the ground up. They always protect the brand. They just do. They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
But no, I think we're going to 12, and I think at 12 you can get 2 G5 schools in. At that point, you'll never get more than 2.
Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, no. No. But hey, Chris, dude, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for like actually showing up, joining, and all that, dude. Like, you guys put up a badass show. Everyone that's watching right now, if you guys haven't already and you like the conversation we had today, trust me, it goes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, but even it's live on Sundays. Yep. It's a badass time. It's called Winning Cures Everything. I'm Ball Python Love. Christopher, thank you. I'm going to play the outro out. If you want to stick around for a minute before I let you go, and then I'm going to end it.
Shall we begin?